At any rate, I move that we abandon our county ordinances and rely on the state law, with the exception of the schools and the courthouse. And if somebody else has a place, I'll entertain that too. That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second to Commissioner Richardson's motion?
I will second that if you will add detention center.
Yeah, the detention center, anywhere in the courthouse, the jail, the detention center, yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second.
I was going to ask how that pertains to county-owned buildings that aren't inhabited by county employees, like the library headquarters and the old courthouse.
It applies there too. It applies anywhere except, any county property except the places that are mentioned, the jail, the courthouse, and the schools. But state law still prevails in all of these places. We're not trying to overcome state law.
Okay. Comments from commissioners?
Yeah, I got one. I'm all for the Second Amendment right, and I believe that people should have the right to carry a concealed weapon. In fact, I'm thinking about doing it myself. But I think that for all county employees to have the opportunity to carry a concealed weapon on the job, I just don't like the intimidation factor there. So, although I believe in the Second Amendment right, I can't support that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can
Commissioner Buzzell?
can I ask Mr. Richardson, Commissioner Richardson, a question?
Oh, yes.
Does this apply to attendees, anybody entering county office buildings, or just the employees can carry firearms?
Well, it would require people going into the county, yeah.
All right, so everybody, the employees?
Everybody, people from the public that are coming through to see people, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, may I make?
Go ahead.
Thank you. I as I mentioned earlier, I was in law enforcement for a number of years, and I carried a firearm. And we were required to be certified twice a year by certified trainers. They had to be certified. And then we were on the range at least twice a year to prove our skills. And if you've ever been in a shootout, it's almost surreal. And bullets are flying all over the place. And I've known a number of people, when they pull the gun out of their holster, the gun's empty because they've been hitting the ground as they pull it. So to say we're going to open up the county office buildings where the residents can come into the county, and we don't know what type of training they've had, how often they fired the weapon, under what conditions, have they been certified trainers involved in that, or county employees, but a whole bunch of standards, and what kind of weapons are we talking about? They can bring in a shotgun, a rifle, a pistol. It doesn't have to be concealed. We're going to allow unconcealed weapons. So until we have a lot of these issues, whether it's insurance, liability, who's bringing guns in, who's going to start a shootout, more innocent people may be shot. So at this point in time, until I've had a lot more information based upon my experience, and I know everybody has this right. I'm like Gary. I'm in the process now of getting a permit. I'm taking a concealed training course, but I don't intend to bring it to work. So I don't intend to support this motion either. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, the problem that I have is you're going to have some employees who are not going to be comfortable bringing a firearm to work, period. And then you will have folk who will have a concealed carry permit who will be able to come into buildings. And I'll give you this example. At the Department of Social Services, they take a lot of children from a lot of folk. And now you have the right to go into the Department of Social Services with your firearm, and there's social worker X who took my little baby girl, and I don't like it, and so I'm just waiting for you to say the right thing to me today, and it's going to be on. I'm just not comfortable with that. And then the other thing is you have employees who are not going to be comfortable with people walking into, let's say, the tax office, packing a firearm. That will be stressful for those employees. And my final thought is this, and I'll allow the chief to comment on anything I've said, is that when you pull a gun and you fire it under no stress, you can pull it and you can hit center mass, I don't know how many times. But when the adrenaline starts flowing and your breathing changes and you got that firearm every time this is what you get, and oh no, I just cannot go along with that, and I just cannot see doing that. And I think Commissioner Breen wants to ask you some questions, Chief.
I got
Go to the podium.
If you'll step to the podium. Chief, I got just one question. In the state of North Carolina, it's legal to holster a gun if it's not concealed, is that correct?
In certain situations, there are.
And what are those situations?
I'll start on the other end of it. There are businesses that can limit firearms to go in. Spoke with the county manager on earlier today. Private businesses, government offices, sheriff's office, detention centers can limit the amount of firearms, whether they're concealed or not concealed, by putting signs up on the outside of that business. That covers open carry as well as concealed in certain situations. In public, there's times where a person can open carry, for any type of firearm, but there's a lot more restrictions on where they can go, and that's based on areas where there's assemblies going on. If people are assembling for a certain event, then they can't bring a firearm. States of emergency, anywhere that admission is being charged, anywhere alcohol is being served. So there's a lot of limitations on whether it's open carry or concealed, and those laws are changing all of the time, whether it's on the state level or the federal level.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, Commissioner Waters.
This is to the county manager. Does our policy allow any employee at all to bring a concealed weapon in any of the departments?
Not at this time. You have a policy that was adopted in 95, I believe, that this board adopted in 95.
When you look at the Department of Social Service, do we have security at that facility?
You have the Department of Social Services, it is structurally set up in a way that you've got to be able to get behind the door to get to folks, essentially. I mean, you can't walk freely into staff areas, and it's done that way on purpose.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 2-5.